Inshallah, with this course now we will be able to provide some more fancy user interface. But I need to say this. Um, this might be also a disappointment lecture. Like we will write so many things, and then the UI will not look like still a very professional one. Sometimes it will look like weird. The reason is that normally you have to do many things, many write a code to have a really good design, and you really need to think about it. And but it's so repetitive code. It takes so much time that we will not be able to do during the lectures. The UIs that we will generate will not look professional. It's just to give the idea, the main idea of graphical user interfaces. And also in real life, very few people, I don't think that people will directly write a code to generate the UI. Currently, well, there are many drag and drop tools that you design it and then it generates the code for you, generates the UI code. No one, I would be very surprised if they wouldn't use any of those tools and then they would just start writing the code. But then you might ask, okay, then why are we saying this? That we will we'll never use it? Well, it will be still beneficial because we'll try to explain the main idea of this, and that even though for those generated parts there might be some things that you might need to change, you might need to edit it so that you should be able to read the code. That's also the reason that we are doing. And also, like maybe you are using just ChatGPT to generate the UI, but sometimes you might need to do some edits, some changes. Then again, this knowledge inshallah will be helpful for you to do those kind of things. And we'll see. Now let's start. GUI, or graphical user interface. So what is the main idea is that, well, let's provide the users a window that you see with Windows or in Mac or in an operating system, that the user can interact with the program through clicking the buttons or whatever it is. It's not only by the keyboard, so that they will have a better user experience. And for that one, well, we will use JavaFX, but as many things happen in Java, like this also has been improving. When I was a student, we were using Java AWT, then there was Java Swing, now JavaFX. But still, these are just some newer libraries. But the ones that I meant are the older libraries. But still, there are some functions that are still based on these old libraries. So JavaFX one is the more recent one than the ones that I mentioned. And normally, graphical user interface might not be very exciting to code. The reason is that it's pretty repetitive. You need to do many, like I want to put a button, then okay, there are some certain actions that you just need to do. It's not like an algorithm development if you look at it from one perspective. But there's also another perspective that I would like to think about it, which is it also has a different programming paradigm. So we have seen object-oriented programming, and when we are dealing with the graphical user interface, it has event-driven programming. What it means is, well, in an object-oriented programming, we have objects like the chairs, products, cars, people, and then they interact each other. We design how they will interact. But when we have an application that we expect users' interaction a lot, the way that the program runs changes. Like because whenever there's an event, like an event means the user clicks a button, opens a window, writes something, moves the mouse, that's an event. Then we actually provide answer, a response for that event. This is the event-driven programming. So the way that the program is executed is like, okay, user did this, so I will do this. User did this, so I will do this. Then there's this. This needs a different perspective for writing, because here the challenge is that we cannot control the user. Like, the user might want to click a button or not. Well, maybe we'll put some buttons, but it will never be used by the user. So, or sometimes you might expect users to, okay, you might say, okay, a normal person should do this. But then maybe the user is not a very normal person, and then he might do some unexpected actions. Still, your program should be able to cover that. So if you look at this problem from that perspective, then the programming becomes more exciting. Then you really need to think about, okay, how can we solve some develop algorithms to find it? Because the main challenge is that we cannot control the user, but the whole program execution depends on the user interactions. Now, going back to this part, but from event-driven programming is how to handle user actions, but the other one is also there's this kind of some stylistic parts, and how can we design a frame? And when we are talking a frame, now, first, our applications are made of windows, like not the operating system, but the one that we we can open a window and then it will run on that one. In JavaFX, it is called stage. So whenever we say stage, we mean that window. And then in a stage, there will be some scenes. A scene is where we put our items, actually. Where we put our, like, when I say item, I mean the buttons, text fields, the tables, images, whatever it is. And then in a scene, well, one challenge with the UI design is that how to put the items in a field in that scene. Well, you can say, okay, this item should be at the rightmost of the screen. But then the challenge here is that, well, the size of the window are not fixed. The user can resize it, make it very small, make it very large. So then somehow the components should be still reconfigured with and then their layout might change based on the window size. So it's not that easy. It's not enough to say, okay, it should be rightmost. Okay, what if I shrink the web page so little that then the width will be very little? Then how can will not be able to see that part? So I should develop a solution, actually, an algorithm for that. And this is basically done by the layout pane. So we actually define how to put the components in the window, like so that whenever I change the size of the window, it will be still in an organized way. And then for each pane, layout pane, I said, okay, now I put my components, like, okay, I will have button, text box, labels, images, whatever it is, so that each of them is a UI component. Each of them is placed. Their location is determined by the layout pane, and then and so on. So this is the main layers of a graphical user interface programming model. Here you see again one part. This is now stage is our window, this blue one, and then in that one we have the scene. And the scene is so this. The scene has a container. It contains all the all the items in it. But in that one, okay, we say that, okay, we need to have a V-box, which we will see later on, but it basically puts the items vertically. So we say, okay, they should be replaced vertically. And then in that one, we might say, okay, this is, but in a model, I cannot say, okay, everything should be placed vertical. It doesn't sound reasonable, because I need a much more complex structure. So what we do is, now that becomes challenging. Within a scene, I put another scenes, so that will, and each scene has its own layout manager. So I can say, okay, there will be 2 cases that I will put vertical. But in that scene, I will use some horizontal layout, and so on and so. We will see it in the later on, but basically by using this simple layout managers, layout algorithms, we can define much more sophisticated parts. But again, I will say this: to create this kind of a scene or a window, you really need to type many codes, and so that's why actually many people do not use just drag and drop tools instead of writing a code. And let's continue. And what makes up this JavaFX? Well, these libraries provide us many UI components. Like here you see an example of it, like button, checkbox, choice box, color picker, combo box, date picker, HTML editor, hyperlink, image view, media view, menu bar, password field. That we will use some of them, but as you can see, like progress bar, progress indicator, radio button, scroll bars, tables, split menus, sliders, three views, and so on and so. So all of this, like the tools that we can put in our web page, and also this layout managers, grid pane, border pane, VBox, and so on, that allows us to control the placement of our and how to position these components. Here's a couple of examples. Like, for instance, this is the, again, well, the same thing applies here. Do you have to memorize all these? I really don't think so. Again, this is just, the main ability is to check a library, check their API, and then try to pick the ones that suits for your problem and use it. This is the main part. It's not, okay, what you should really, what is the name of it and so on. It's memorization of this is not important, but also it is important to be aware of what you can really do. For instance, this accordion page, which means there's a row here. If you click that, some more links, some more options will be seen. This is a classical button, or the checkbox, or the choice box. The color. This is the color picker. This is a date picker, so you select from a calendar, or the hyperlink. That when you click a link, the user redirected to another page. Or label is just a text, just a text. The menu bar that appears at the top of the program that you see. The list views, the pagination, so that the user does not have to be scroll down. You might have put more pages. Password fields, when you type, it will automatically hide what you will type, so you can use it for the login pages. The progress bar, if you ask to show that status of an application, or if you want the user, if the user will wait, but you want to show them, okay, the progress is still going on, so you can use this progress indicator. Slider to select user to provide some input in a different way, or radio button, which is in a radio button only one of them can be selected. So if you have multiple options, but you force the user to say, okay, select one of them. Like, what is your gender, male or female? So you cannot select both of them. So then you should put a radio button. And scroll pane is like a text field in which you can write multiple lines, and you can scroll to the left or to the right or to the down. So with this, or the splitter in which you have these two cases, and then you can literally have this split in between. You can put tables. Text field is just for one line of text. Text area is allows multiple lines, and you can put those hints. The toolbar that appears like in the Word application, for instance, or there is a toolbar that you click. You can also have this, the table view, and so on. So again, this is not to memorize, but just to be aware that like you can do many things actually with the JavaFX to put all these components to create a professional user interface. And this is the inheritance hierarchy of this part. So we have this control class from JavaFX, which allows the user to provide text, and we actually control maybe the application, we might say it in this way. And in that one, the first one is the labeled. In that one, we have this label, which the user cannot do anything. It's not clickable. But or a button base in which you can the user can click that radio button, menu button, hyperlink button, and so on. Or the text input, the user can provide some text field, textual data, and also it has these all the menu bar, button bar, all the other parts. So it has this kind of a inheritance hierarchy. Here is now one example how to write it. We will run it, but I think let me actually I had already put that in my Eclipse. Let me show that. I will. I need to copy paste a couple of things, but this is yeah. I will write it in this way. But let's look at this code first. Okay, I created my class, but to run it, well, I will say that, okay, it should extend application. Okay. I will elaborate on this, but still we are getting a mistake. And we will have 2 or 3 failed cases to show you that how to run it, okay? So for now it's not running. Well, then I guess you might say, okay, it's not included. When I look at it, it says, okay, import application from com.apple or import application beaninfo. None of them are the ones coming from JavaFX. So when you want to run JavaFX, what you should do is, first you have to download it. You have to download as jar files, and then you have to add it to your project. How you can do it? Well, if you are using some other either tools, it might be slightly different, but it should be still similar to what I'm doing here with the Eclipse. So you can do a right click, go to the build path, and then configure the build path. And then we should add the libraries, JavaFX library, to our program, to our class path. So I will say that add add external jars, okay? And then here you have to download this JavaFX SDK, okay? In that one you have to select a lib directory, and then here we have all these jar files. I will not be selective, I will add all of them. Okay. Then I will say apply and close. All right, then what happened is, when I click here, now it also recommends, suggests me JavaFX application. Okay, now I'm able to import that library. So again, it will not be, the JavaFX library will not come automatically when you install Java. You have to also manually download JavaFX library. This is the first part. All right, then what I need to do is I need to now import these JavaFX stage because of this part. And I would like to put this application stage that's set title. Oops, sorry. So what this is just what we want to put as a title. Okay, I can say, okay, my first GUI app, for instance. And then we just need to also show that this stage.show. When I try to run this, it will not run, by the way, as a spoiler. But just before going into that, let's explain what we are doing here. I said, okay, this application will extend the application. So I'm doing, now there's an inheritance relationship. My app will become an application of JavaFX. And then in my main function, I just call this launch one. So how can I call this? Can you explain to me what where is launch here?
Inherited method?
Yes, it's an inherited method coming from the application class that we implemented, that we are extending. So, and then in this launch function, it basically runs this start function. And this start, as you can see, we are actually overriding it. So again, application class of JavaFX has this run, this start function, but we have to override it to put our application. Then, so whatever I have to show to my user, I will put this in the start function. Okay, and what I said is basically its title should be this, and then I will just show it. That's it. When I run this code now, it will not, by the way, but so what is happening here is it is running. As you can see, it's red, it's running, but it's not showing anything. Okay. So when for this problem, again, there's some configuration things that you have to do before doing that. Okay. Oh, I forgot it. What? You have to go to run configurations, and then in the XR, I delete it? I thought that I had deleted it. Anyway, normally if you run an application, this VM arguments, virtual machine arguments, would be empty. So for that case, let me rerun it. I would like to get that mistake. Yeah. Let me rerun that. Probably with my run configurations, I guess I'm running the incorrect one. Let me see. This is the GUI app. All right. Why is it still here? I had deleted it. Okay, maybe I should say apply. I forgot to hit the apply probably. Okay, when I run this, now I'm getting this error. Java FX runtime components are missing. Okay. So we configured the build path. We added the jars. But still, when we are running the application, okay, you have to go to the run applications part. You have to select the arguments, and then for the VM arguments, we have to say that, okay, for the model path, what I'm giving here is actually the path to my library that I put these jar files of JavaFX library. Okay. So I need to put this statement. Well, you can, since the course is recorded, you can check it, or you can just Google it. It's pretty fixed. But when we are running the application, we also have to show that, okay, this is the JavaFX library where it is located, because this is an external jar. Okay, now I will say apply. And if you are, this is for usually Mac users. I don't know how many of you are using Mac. And normally, these two ticks are selected. Okay. If you run this now, again nothing will appear. This is our last fail. No worries. It's running. It created this application here. It is running actually, but it's not showing anything. So for that one also, again, I'll close it. What you have to do is, perhaps you will not get this error in Windows computer because this is a little bit Mac specific, but you have to uncheck this one. Now when we run it, yes, now we got this is our application which says my first GUI app as the title, and this is what we just put. We just set the title, but now at least it is running. So to summarize, you have to download the jar files. You have to edit the build path. You have to set the VM arguments to your JavaFX library. And if you are a Mac user, then you also need to uncheck that box. Then inshallah it will be executed. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
The stage is the window itself. So inside there is nothing, there is no scene?
We didn't put anything yet. That's the reason. Well, one challenge with the UI is that, like, maybe one frustrating part is that, you know, if you don't put it, it will not be done. And when I say that But we have to do it for everything. For you say that okay, it's so obvious that like we did it. Why don't you do it? Like for this, even this showcase. Okay, I set the title, but I didn't show it. Okay. Then when I run this code now, it will not show it. Like you might say, okay, why you're not showing it? Isn't it obvious that I created an UI and you should be able to show it to the user, right? This sounds reasonable, but actually, even for that case, you have to say, okay, I want to show this. Well, of course, there's a reason for this. For some, maybe you might add some hidden windows that you don't want to show to the user, so that if you just remove it, then it will not be shown to the user also. So this is one case. But again, we have to add all the steps. We have to follow it for that one. All right, then let me check if I miss anything here. All right, then now let's improve this case. So what we will do is, I can maybe copy paste it. It will save us some time for us. Here it is. Let me copy paste it. Now when we copy paste it, we'll see that okay, we have so many VBox, label, button, scene. For each of them, we need to import it. So we need to import scene, layout, VBox, and or the label. We have to import it. Well, if you don't want to do it for all, label comes from AWT, not from AVX, JavaFX. This AWT is the library that I said to you that it is the old one. Or what you can do is, if you hit the star button, then it will add all the remaining ones. And we should also do this for the scene. I think it shouldn't come from AWT, by the way. It's okay. So AWT is the old library. I think I made a slight mistake here. We should add the one that is coming from JavaFX. So once I put the AWT, it considered that this is coming from AWT. That's why we got a problem in this library. So yeah, now everything is included from JavaFX. And when we run this, so what are we doing here? We will see this later on, but this is the layout pane. So we said that this is VBox, V for vertical, so everything will be put in a vertical order. And then we create a library, we create a label, and then we create a button, and then we add all of them to our layout pane. And then we take this layout pane and put it to our scene, and then we put this scene to our window, to our stage. And then we show the stage. So when we run this code now, this is what basically we will get. Again, that's it. We have this text here and also this submit part. Again, as you can see, it looks pretty weird to have this kind of a text, but it is, again, we just said that, okay, put them vertically, and this is what we got. Any questions so far? All right, then let's proceed. I'm checking if there's anything that we didn't talk about it. So this window is the stage. Well, in the stage one, each of them is actually a Java comp and image component. Like this, we can put an image, a label, button, text fields, labels, and so on. I think we already talked about it. And in a UI component, we have the attributes. Like for a button, it's title, name, for instance. Is it editable or is it clickable or not? It has all these attributes. It has methods that we can use. And also it has events. So this is what I call when the event-driven programming. What is this? Um, well, when we are creating a UI component, here are the 4 steps that we need to follow. We first create it, create an instance of it. We configure it. Maybe we want to change its color, type, whatever it is. And then we need to add it to one of the layouts. And then we also add an listener, an event listener. So what is this? Well, this is again an event-driven programming. What it means is we put many components, and then each of them actually listens to the user, waits for user's input. If the user clicks that button, what should you do? We define it here, like how will he handle that event? The user click this button, so I will print a message. The user click this submit button, I will take all the data and submit it to the database. Or I will start the processing, whatever it is. So this is, again, we define listeners and event handlers, which basically checks all the time and whenever a user hits that component, like it doesn't have to be always a button, like maybe a text field, maybe slider, a date picker, color picker, whatever an event is, we can put it a listener, and then we decide how to handle that part. And this brings us this model view controller pattern, MVC. But let me take attendance, give 1 minute break for the attendance.